G Toledo, Bridges, with your host, Donnie Miller, connecting our community with information about issues and opportunities.
Good Sunday morning and welcome to Bridges. My name is Donnie. Well, as you know, we just had an election here in Lucas County and in many counties actually around the state. But today we're going to talk about the impact of the Lucas County election on our community, on our communities of color as well. We have two experts in the field of community relations and issues as they relate to minorities with us this morning. I'd like to introduce them to you now. We have Jay Black, who is the president of the Toledo African American Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, and thank you so much for coming. And you all know the Pastor Donald Perryman, who is with us today representing the United Pastors for Social Empowerment, but also the pastor of a fabulous church here in town. So
Center of Hope Baptist Church.
That's right, Center of Hope. We welcome you both today. So let's just get to it. There's a lot to talk about today. You guys aren't shy. That's the reason I asked you both to come on today. So we're looking for your opinions and your insights as to how we move forward from this election. Any surprises in the election?
Go ahead, Donald.
There were none to me. I knew the mayoral election. I figured it would be pretty close, but I knew it would be something different.
There were several things that stood out for me. Like Donald said, I figured that the mayoral race would be close. I didn't think that Mike Bell would get hammered like he ultimately did.
Yeah, I was just going to say, are you calling what happened close now? There were what, some 7,000 vote difference.
Like 14 points, I think it was.
14 points, yeah.
I was surprised at how the school board election turned out. Bob Vasquez was the overwhelming favorite, even though he was not endorsed by TFT, so I thought that was kind of different. And I knew a couple of the incumbent, or I felt that a couple of incumbent councilmen would be in trouble, and turns out that one was.
Well, let's go back to the mayor's race, okay? Let's just start there. You weren't surprised, why not?
Well, basically because it became, in my opinion, a battle of narratives and how each of the candidates were portrayed. And
what should it have been? A battle of?
Well, it's always, I think, in sophisticated elections, it becomes a battle of narratives and who can win that. And I think the Mayor Bell, came out and portrayed himself as a rescuer and touted his performance. And but that was quickly deconstructed by D. Michael Collins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what my feeling though was about this. I did not get the sense, and I did not get the sense from either candidate that there were. I didn't know how they were going to move forward to do the things they talked about doing. I mean, you know, we throw these issues in the air like neighborhoods need to change, but then when you ask people how they intend to change them, nobody really has a plan.
Well, I agree. The mayor talked about his performance and the things that he did. And perhaps D. Michael Collins, by not having the advantage of the incumbency, couldn't do that. But what he started to do was to negate or to be critical of Mayor Bell's leadership style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think, Jay?
Well, for me, it was a battle of special interests, labor versus business. Labor being heavily supporting Mike Collins and heavily opposed to Mayor Bell, and business heavily supporting Mayor Bell. The problem was most of Mike Bell's supporters don't live in the city and couldn't vote. So I think that might have been the difference.
You know, does it put these communities, all of the communities, at risk because there was such a heavy labor presence in this campaign?
Yeah, I think it can, but everything boils down to leadership. And if Mayor-elect Collins takes the high road and say, I'm going to be the guy to bring the two camps together, that is business and leaders on behalf of the citizens of Toledo, I think some neat things can happen.
Do you think it's possible for him to, with all of the endorsements that he had, is it possible for him to be a strong
I think there's some unresolved issues there. I think that the labor issue was really kind of the surface thing, but underneath that, there was a subplot of race and class. And that's really, to me, where all the action was.
All right, let's get to that. And I was hoping one of you would lead us there, because I think I totally agree with you on that issue. Can you say a little more about that?
Well, I think Collins was the first one to bring up race, talking about the challenges of growing up as the only white in an all-black neighborhood. And that kind of set the tone. I don't believe that Mayor Bell retaliated enough, but that set the tone right there.
Yeah, I don't think he could, though, Donald. I don't think it would have been wise for him to make that an issue, because he never has made race an issue. Again, for me, it was clearly the special interest issue.
Yeah, I agree that was a really strong presence, but this race, this election season, more than any other, had such a strong undercurrent of those things that nobody really wants to talk about, but you know that they're there. And one of those things was race, and I think the other one of those things was class. It really, whether Mayor Bell wanted to make it an issue or not, or whether DeMichael wanted to make it an issue or not, it was very much, those things were very much issues.
It was there. I think that Bill was portrayed as an uppity, globe-trotting, luxury car driving black man. And basically, when we look at, who has too much control? We've got 18 positions at the top in the city, 7 are occupied by African Americans, 4 Hispanics. African Americans currently. An African American is controlling the money, the safety forces, the police, IT, technology, so affirmative action. So it always comes down to race, class, and power.
Yeah, and do you think that is an issue that DeMichael Collins is going to be able to overcome as he moves forward as mayor? Well, he's going in with some real strong and unhappy perceptions, whether they are right or whether they are wrong.
The thing I heard most about Mike Collins was the comment he made on racial profiling.
Right.
And people that I talked to said, what world is he living in if he doesn't think that exists? However, having worked in that environment, the best way to overcome that is to reach out to folks early on and have some quick wins. In my world, the best way he could have a quick win is to make a statement about having an appetite for including minority businesses in the city's procurement process. And by the way, Mike Bell, I don't think his message on being inclusive didn't resonate, obviously, but from my seat, he was pretty inclusive of our businesses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, it's interesting. I don't think that anybody is naive, at least not at this table, and no one is expecting. What we're asking for, I think, is efforts toward inclusion, things that manifest themselves as the intention to include, moving forward. So I do agree with you that DeMichael Collins has some work to do. He absolutely has some work to do, but I think it's doable. I think changing the perception that some people have of him, that they've gathered from this election. Again, whether it's right or wrong, it's there, and I think he can. I think he can make a difference.
It is absolutely doable, and as I said before, it all boils down to leadership. If he makes the case early on that he is going to be an inclusive mayor of everybody, not only just labor, but minority-owned businesses as well. It's a workable solution.
And that's going to probably start with his perspective on the affirmative action department, what he does there. We know that the previous mayor, prior to Bell, dismantled that department. And one of the first acts that Bell undertook when he returned or when he got into office was to restore not only that department but the person who ran it.
Yeah.
That could be a source of contention, particularly if, as I've heard, that Mayor Carty Finkbeiner will be coming back, former Mayor Carty Finkbeiner will be coming back and joining Collins's administration.
Yeah, I heard that rumor too, actually. I heard that too. What do you think? Is that a good thing or not so good thing, if it's true? You got to think about that for a minute.
Yeah, we need to think about that.
It'll certainly be interesting.
But you made a good point at the outset. Are we, every time we try to go forward and progress, it seems like, particularly with an African American mayor, someone or some movement or something comes around to take us back to where we were before.
Right. I would agree with that. I met with a business owner, downtown business owner, just yesterday, and his main concern was that we not take a step back and go back to the way things were. And his reason for saying that was the perception that the Mayor-elect Collins' relationship with labor. And he says if labor controls the way business is done in this town, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's good. What do you think, though, about, does this say anything about the black community that Mayor Bell did not get a stronger support?
I think it does.
And what might that be?
Well, first of all, and I haven't seen the final numbers, but the turnout in our community was low.
Was dismal. We are actually going to bring those numbers on a different show. They were miserable.
And that should never be the case,
right,
regardless of who's running for office. And I said from the primaries that Mike Collins could beat Mike Bell if a couple of things happened. If labor overwhelmingly supported Mike Collins, which did happen, and if he was able to get any appreciable support from the black community at all, that is Mike Collins, I felt that Mike Bell would lose this race.
Yeah,
and I think that's what
then
happened.
you think that's what happened.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I think that black folks will vote when they feel that they have something to gain or something to vote for. I think Mike Bell's narrative that he rescued or solved the budget crisis, it didn't resonate with a lot of people who operate on a deficit on a day-to-day basis.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Hold that thought, though. We're going to go away for just a minute. We'll be right back.